Excellent. So, just to really briefly recap, today the GYA is going to become a climate action network for international educators accord signature, CANIE for short. Co-chair of the Sustainability Committee, Daniel, is here to talk us through that process. And it's something that we've been working on as a board at the GYA for the last 6 months or so. And today we'll sign it ourselves and show everybody how that process works from start to finish.
Okay.
Okay. There we go.
There
Okay, there we go. All right, that's working, is it?
Okay, cool. So this is the page, the sort of the CANIE.org homepage, and basically, as you can see, it is divided into sort of like into how you can participate individually. So kind of how can you become a volunteer? And there's the third section there says on the top right says the CANIE Accord. So if you click on the CANIE Accord, it has a little menu. So kind of like who's signed so far, how to become a signature, and then the CANIE Accord documents. This is the document that you can actually, if you click on it, you can download. If you can view documents a little bit further up. As a PDF, you can see online. There you go, CANIE Accord documents. There you go. So the web version, go to the web version. Okay, and here, what it happens is that basically you can see the whole document. It kind of is divided into, I believe, seven sections. Number 2 is that everyone needs to if you go here, everyone needs to commit. So the purpose of the articles of this, everyone needs to agree to the purpose and principles of this agreement. Obviously, those are very clear. And then you need to select a minimum of 5 actions in no fewer than 3 of the remaining articles, and we'll go through them in a second. Now we've selected a lot more than 5. Now, as I said at the beginning, it's important to be realistic. I've seen kind of organizations that they've never worked in climate action and they've submitted 60 actions. Now that's great. I'm not putting that in doubt. But then I've seen organizations that have been working in climate action, for years, and they've submitted 15. So my point here is be realistic. Don't try to be too ambitious to start with it, and just kind of just see it as a first starting point, and then on a year-to-year basis, then you can then kind of review those actions. Now, as you'll see, they're divided into kind of easy, medium, and hard, and as we'll see in a second. So basically, that's what it is. So just very quickly, and I'm not going to go through it everywhere, but if you go Article 3 here, those are the kind of the 3 purpose and articles that everyone kind of just go down a little bit. So the first one is, can you just scroll down to Article 3? Yeah, so take immediate action. The second one is collaborate, innovate, and educate. And I believe there's a third one, develop climate solutions that advance social justice. So those are the principles you can go through in details that everyone needs to agree and commit to. And then if you go a bit further down, that's where the actual, from Article 4 onwards, that's where the actual, there's in different sections, which we won't read everything, but it starts with leadership and influences. As you see, it goes basic, better, and I think it was best. So there are many of these. There is over 70, if I'm not wrong. So we need to pick a total of 5, minimum of 5, and they need to span of a minimum of 3 of these sections. Okay, they don't tell you they need to be better, best, or basic. You just need to pick up 5. Okay, does that? It goes through kind of leadership, travel, logistics, just kind of the whole kind of operations and organization running. Okay, so what we're going to be doing now is we're actually going to be signing. So we're going to go to you're going to click on the CANIE Accord top submenu. And then, if I'm not wrong, it says become a signature. There you go, become a signature. Okay, so go to sign now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to have to put is who's the primary contact for GYA. Now, I was going to put you... but we just need to have someone that becomes the actual main contact, mainly for mailing purposes, and just if there's any things that the CANIE needs to contact. So no, we can change that later on. So Ryan, feel free to either put either Mel or yourself, whoever you think is best.
What do you think, Mel? What's the best way to go about that? Will I have you? Do you want to sign it, or yourself, or Kerry, or will I sign it on behalf of the sustainability committee, or what's the best way to do this aspect?
I think at this point, it might be best for you to sign it on behalf of the sustainability committee. And then, I mean, we can update this as needed, but then you'll be the primary contact for CANIE communication, I would assume. And that could go through the committee, which feels appropriate at this point.
Okay.
The other thing why Ryan fills that in is that it's actually very important to point out that this CANIE Accord does not need to be signed by a whole institution. And I'm saying that because, I work with a lot of universities, obviously large, huge kind of mammoth institutions that, they very slow moving and they require agreements and, boards of directors by, some of them presidents, senators. So sometimes that's a long-term kind of objective. It could be your own department. It could be a school within an institution. So that's also something. It's a commitment per se. So it's not a legal kind of the band to this. So kind of obviously it's more like an ethical commitment. And so if you feel that you need to start within a department within an institution or school, or it can be done that way. It doesn't have to be the whole institution if it's a large one and takes a long time. All right. So secondary, we don't need to put it. We can if we need to, but it doesn't need to be. And then you obviously go about, okay, so who is the organization? So who's signing? So this is where you can put, you put the whole institution, and it may be that just the department is signing it. Well, that's fine. So we're an association. The whole association is doing it, and then our URL. Now, all this can be modified later on. So, for example, we don't have online a climate action plan right now, but when we do, we can link it here. I'm pretty sure we don't have it just yet, but we have been working on it.
We do actually have it, and it is
Is it online?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then we can put it. I know we've been working on it, but okay, great. Then we can put it. We can put the link there. So if you can just quickly pick it up.
All right. So we will pull this up and show it off on the share screen.
Oh, there you go. So Mel just added the link there. Thank you, Mel.
And I think Morgan has a question as well.
Okay, sorry, I didn't see that.
That's okay. Just really quick. So if a organization or a company is signing the accord and they haven't yet published a report, is that something they can go back in later and like add to their profile?
Totally.
Cool.
Yes, you can change profile. This is okay. I mean, just obviously, I've been very involved in CANIE and developing this. So one of my critiques to the system, and it's obviously something that has been worked on, is that right now it's one it's a self-assess. So you commit whatever it is. No one kind of checks whether those are real. I could say whatever, and then no one checks. And then the other one is that as of today, but hopefully it won't be the same soon, there is no annual check on how you're doing. And this is something that CANIE is really working on and trying to do, like a system where 12 months, they come to you, say, hey, GYA, fantastic. Okay, can you please send us a little report? Doesn't have to be specific about the commitments you did, and would you like to review those commitments? And obviously, ideally, you become a little bit more ambitious, and then you kind of publish. Okay, so I see you didn't have a climate action plan or sustainability policy. What about now? Okay, so then you update it. So this is something that is not happening right now, but it will happen. And mainly, it's because of lack of resources. It's a volunteer-based run organization. We all have like really busy jobs. So, I mean, but it's not an excuse, but that's the reason, really. Okay, so while we put all these information, which is probably like the most time-consuming one.
Morgan, one thing I think, and for anybody that's viewing, just like Daniel's obviously very involved in CANIE, and from someone who was coming from the outside of the fold to CANIE 6 months ago, myself, I think a lot of the value lies in the networking and the framework that the Accord provides for then like developing an action plan out of it. And you're plugging in with other international education organizations, associations, universities. And so there's a movement growing and being part of that movement. I think to me from the outside looking in, there's a lot of value in that in the organization.
Yeah. Yeah. And for example, right now there's no in the future, in the near future, there is going to be an option that that you're going to be able to upload, other than on your own website, but to upload your own climate action plan. And this is going to be great because basically, I don't see this as something that is a secret. I mean, we want to share all these tools so that way everyone can do it. And this is why GYA doing this is going to showcase it, to all the members. It can be done. So yeah, I think the networking is really good. For those of you interested, obviously, I would recommend that you actually just go to the website and become a member, which is obviously it's free, and then that basically you get informed about the monthly meetings, and then kind of you become a little bit more active in knowing what's happening. There's a lot of workshops as well. I was going to say something. Oh yeah, the what Ryan says is very true. This serves as a blueprint for a climate action plan, and GYA's climate action plan was actually used or created based on the commitments that we selected that we will show in a second. So it's actually a really good resource for that. And there's an associated paper called the Glasgow paper, which is a really kind of more dense, really kind of information, scientific-based paper that supports the CANIE Accord and really kind of say, okay, why is it an issue? Why? What has been done? So I definitely recommend you to read that as well if you've got time. Bet night reading just before you go to bed. I think it's like 70 pages, really, scientific based.
Can we click next?
Alrighty.
I think we're good.
Yeah, go for it. Okay, now we're going to go into the commitments. So for the first one that it will ask you is like, do we agree with part 2, which is basically the three kind of main commitments everyone has, or the 3 principles, which are some of this, and then basically we affirming the international education is fundamental to foster understanding and respect among different people in order to transcend borders, cultures, languages, and solve global problems. We recognize that the climate crisis poses an acute threat to the economy, nature, and society. We acknowledge the role of the international education sector in contributing to the climate crisis, and therefore its position as a likely decarbonization leader. We take full account that organizations are in different stages of implementing actions to mitigate the effect of climate change, and that commitments and actions are taking place at various levels. And we emphasize, sorry, can you go back, because I can't see it, because I'm reading your, okay, thank you. And we emphasize that climate solutions must advance justice, equity, and human rights. And finally, we acknowledge that transitioning to net zero emissions will be challenging and will require revaluation of business and financial models in the context of planet and of our planet in crisis. So we just basically agree these are common to everyone. Okay, cool. So that's just the definition, the signatures. So we acknowledge that the signature definition that is used within this form. So as I said, it can be departments, it can be, it can be sections within institutions. Okay, this is like what I said, these are the minimum requirements, and we commit to that. So first of all, we agree on the purpose and principles, and we're going to select 5 actions. So we basically acknowledge that these are the commitments, and we're going forward with them. Cool. So you can click on that. I read those initially. Those are the principles that I said that we obviously as GYA, we agree on them. So we acknowledge those. There's no yes or no. You have to agree on this principle. Okay, and then we start. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be basically saying the ones that we've selected. As you can see here, is basically the list on the first article, Article 4, which was on leadership, and then it goes on basic, better, basic, better, and whatever the other one was. So the ones that we agreed was number 2, advocate for accelerate climate action within Signature's own organization and with stakeholders within their sphere of influence. Obviously, we're going to be using all our network, which is perfect to advocate for climate action. Okay, number 4. obviously, if you do have any questions, please put your hand up and we can kind of give you a little bit of a rationale of the discussions we had, but hopefully they'll clear. And we could have, as I said before, we could have selected a lot more, but we were trying to be realistic and not too ambitious to start with. Okay, embed climate action in organization mission strategies, policies, and frameworks, including official strategic documents. So we agree on that. We worked on the climate action plan, and obviously there's a lot more ideas behind that. And then number 6, publish a climate action plan within 12 months of signing this accord. So obviously when we were talking about this, we were going to sign it and then we're going to work on it. And obviously it took a little bit longer to sign it. So we've already worked on the climate action plan, but obviously we have this commitment of doing, having a climate action plan, which we already have. And the final one is promote and commemorate signatories' commitment to this accord. So obviously, as soon as we sign it, we will actually promote it through social media, through the newsletter, and we will let everyone know that we've signed it, and we'll try to promote it within our sphere of influence. So hopefully those are all, they're pretty clear. All right, cool. So the next one is on best. So we didn't select any on better, and but please, Mel and Ryan and Carrie, please let me know if because we went through the notes that we had, if any of these kind of stick out.
I think I jumped ahead, Daniel. I'm sorry. I think I may have preempted the next button there on those few.
The next one was 11.
Oh, okay. Oh, well,
That's
there's a back button. Brilliant. Look at that.
I think there's a back.
There is.
If not, okay, so go back, and then it was number 11, and number 11 was the first of best, and is investigate that banking, superannuation, and other financial services do not fund fossil fuels industries and advocate for implement change if provided needed. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean that you need to change it. It means that we're going to look into the services that we use, and we discuss this as something that we could do. It may be that you decide that you can't do it.
This we have done, just to pick out one example of these 4. You know, the GYA Bank's beneficial state bank that is a very progressive bank and doesn't fund any fossil fuel industry related activities. So that's just, you know, one item. And as a board, we've actually reviewed all of these and incorporated them into our climate action plan. So there's concrete specific examples to go with each of these items that we have committed to, and action's been taken on quite a few of them already. Some of them are future actions to be taken. Anyway, I think, can we press next on this one now?
Yes.
Can I just ask a quick question before you go next? Sorry.
Of course.
Was that was 5 total for this first section, or were there 6? 6.
I don't know, but you need to do 5 total actions within each of these articles. Article 4, which is leadership. Then the next one, which maybe I can remember, it's travel. Then is organization, and so on. So 5. We've already done 6 here. If you count, I haven't counted them, but it needs to be in a minimum of 3 of the total articles. So it can't be 5 within this article. We could have 2 here, 2 in the next one, and 1 in the following, and that's it. 5. But they need to be spanning over 3 articles. Minimum of 5, not 5 in each of these, not 5 in each article. Total of 5 within all the articles. Does that clarify it?
Yeah, I was just marking and like following along in terms of which ones we've committed to. So I have like a spreadsheet that is just marking these as we're going along. I think I got all of them though.
We've actually also committed to, well, there's 5 currently, but we've also committed to better, which is work with partners to develop programming to increase resilience to the effects of climate change. So the GYA is currently working with partners to develop programming to increase resilience to the effects of climate change in host countries. So that's happening currently, and it's part of the ongoing plan. So this is actually one that we've also identified in our climate action plan. So we actually have 6 in this leadership and influencing category. So we're one past the 5 that's required, and they're all realistic.
Well, yes, but no, but we're not, because they're all in one article. So even if with those 5, we would not be, this would not be enough, because they're in one article and they need to be in 3 different articles, the 5. Yeah. So right now, if we had one in another article and another one on there already, we all way past. So yes. All right. So click on next. Is that clear as far as the actions and the sort of the minimum requirements, right? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Cool. No problems. All right. So now we're going to Article 5, which is emissions, accounting, and reduction. So the first one, which establishes a baseline year to represent peak emissions and serve as a reference point for greenhouse gas reduction progress. So obviously we defined last year. It was 2023 as our baseline year, and then any kind of targets are going to be based on 2023. So we said 15. We said the following one, which is account for emissions from internal education activities, inclusive of operations, center, student academic. So everything that's within our realm of responsibilities. Now, one of the important things to note here is that this is something we discussed at length. It's like GYA is taking account for GYA related activities. Now, not for GYA's members' activities. Now, you could go a step further and they call scope 3 and say, okay, well, yes, we want to actually go for GYA members. But that's something that right now we are taking responsibility for, obviously flights by GYA staff, the conference that is GYA specific, but not like, Ryan's organization, accountability and emissions. All right, so that's our accounting of our own emissions. And then the following one is commit to not using carbon credit projects as a substitute for decarbonization measures, nor as a justification for delaying reductions. And this is an important one because this is a whole kind of debate around offsetting. Now, it doesn't mean that we're not going to be using offsetting as a tool, but we're not just going to use it as an excuse to keep going or keep doing business as usual, which is what it has been happening in many kind of different fields. I just pay something and I just keep doing without kind of reviewing my own actions, my own protocols, and my own ways of doing. I just pay. So pay as you go, and that's it. So it's going to be part of the equation. It's going to be part of the solution, but it's going to be not going to be something we just do as a quick solution. Okay. So that's commit to not using carbon credit. Okay, and then the next one within this category is the final one, the last one on basic, which is signatures that offer conference and other events should account for global for greenhouse gas emissions from its person attendees. So we're going to be, one of the actions, obviously, we're doing an 18-month cycle. Then the other one is going to be actually taking account for emissions related to our conference. Okay, so next one going down to we didn't select any better unless I'm wrong, and then in best we didn't do any best either. So we've got a couple in this section. So once we click next, we go to Article 6, which is travel. Okay, so in travel, we selected the first one in basic, which is replace physical meetings with online ones when possible and logical. Here is an example of what we're doing. GYA is a very online, Zoom-intensive organization, and obviously the conference is moved to an 18-month cycle as well. So where possible and logical, we're moving them. The next one is the third one on this basic level, which is when traveling by air is deemed necessary for international education business purposes, fly economy class or the least carbon intensive mode. So this is because obviously the emissions made by that, where possible, obviously trains and other less carbon intensive forms of transport will be selected if possible. All right, we didn't select any on, yes, the last one on better we selected, which is signatures that deliver conference and other events should coordinate to collaborative, offer combined events, either country, region to consolidate attendee travel. So obviously it's something we discussed to run parallel events, not only to reduce the amount of conferences, but also to run whether that's a GYA board meeting happening at the same time, or whether there's other conferences as it has happened in the past that run back to back. Okay. And then that's it for that section. Okay. All right, facilities. All right, so we selected on basic, we selected 4. So the first one is resource, international education, climate action commitments through budget and staffing allocation. So this is an obvious one, but it's one that doesn't tend to happen. Like, yes, we have all this commitment, but nothing's going to happen. So obviously, GYA has committed time within their GYA staff to attend these meetings and to put it in, to make it a priority. The next one is short climate action responsibility in at least one person's position description. Next one is implement flexible and equitable work from home options. Well, GYA, obviously, it's working from home for all staff, so that's good. And then the final one in this section is encourage international education stakeholders to become signatories to CANIE Accord. Okay, so obviously we're going to, as part of our promotion, we're also going to be doing some work, and whether that's a workshop or whether that's some post or whatever it is, asking or letting people know not only what we've done, but how can organizations become members of or signatories of this accord. Okay, we didn't select any on better, and we selected one on one on better. Sorry, we selected invest in emission reduction project with partners. Okay, so this is and Ryan, correct me here. This is one that we're not going to invest per se, but we're going to invest time in kind of setting projects in some of our partners, like for example, like your own project in Ireland, with setting opportunities that may kind of help offset some of the whole kind of membership-based organization. So do you think we should click on this one?
Definitely, I do. And I think that this is a real key piece of our own climate action plan, and really should be for any organization, just trying to get the work that's being done in host countries and measure it, and then be able to give that to the GYA for things like conferences to add insetting to projects that are already happening on behalf of the GYA. So that is an investment of time, definitely, for the organizations that are pledging that.
Fantastic.
And we've also
fantastic.
You can also click on the final one, I believe, in this section when catering, because this is something that the conference committee's been talking about, I think, with regards to our next conference.
Yes, so the last one for sure, and then I just missed one, which is the first one in this section, which is number 42. Commit to collaborating with organizational sustainability units. So that was also one that I forgot to mention. Is the first one in basic. And for this section, we're done. All right, so when you click next, we're going to, next one is Article 8. So we've only got 2 more articles, I believe. It's climate education. I think you're still on. There you go, climate education. So we're going to click here. We're going to go for number, okay, so 60, which is encourage and support personnel to take advantage of climate action events, resources provided by CANIE and other organizations. So obviously, as Ryan said at the beginning, CANIE is a network-based organization. So there's a lot of events happening, a lot of, Climate Action Week and others. So we obviously going to encourage not only the sort of GYA's staff, but actually all the members as well. The next one is the following 61, which is make proprietary resources freely available to all in the sector when they pertain to climate action in international education. So, for example, we're going to be the climate action plan is already online, so everyone can see it. And as and when we do any other resources, they'll be there for everyone to access them. And then the last one within basic, include climate action as a theme at conference and events, which is fantastic. And I've seen that the more it's promoted and the more kind of you can select it as an option within your presentation, the more people think about it and the more kind of we get involved and engaged in this topic. So that's great. Okay, what else we got here? Better 64. We had here number 66. We've got Okay, so it's include a climate action stream within scholarship programs and prioritize sustainability-related courses within scholarship funds. So that's a selected one, which is part of the climate action plan as well. And that's it, really. Those are all the ones that we selected. There are 70, as you see, there are 70 total commitments, and we had to select 5 within articles 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We've selected way more than that. So, but I do believe that we haven't been too ambitious. I think we've been quite realistic. We could have selected more. So that's been submitted. So now what will happen is that there's a team that will get the information, and within a couple of days, maybe next week, we will get an email saying, hey, congratulations. There is a section now. If you go to the CANIE Accord sub-menu on the top and you go to the signatures, the first one, signature listing, they will create a sub-page for us. They'll put the logo. I think maybe go a bit further down. Is in the signature list and something. You may have to go. There you go. So they'll put logo and they'll put a little bit of information. How many, as you can see there, can you see underneath any logo, there's like how many basic out of the total basic, how many better and how many best. Now, this is not a competition, but it's just a way for you to see the sort of the commitments that others have made. You can see the profile, and then hopefully this is where slowly there will be more information about, for example, is there a climate action plan? Okay, so you can see it here. Is that being like year 1 review, year 2 review, what extra commitments the organization have made? So this will get one of these, and then for sure, then I think it'll be, well, not only it'll be something good, but we've committed as one of the actions, then it'll be our job to promote that we've signed it and share it with our members, and obviously with the wider community, with the social media, newsletters, whatever we decide.
Cool.
So hopefully
so
the
much.
exercise, I was
Yeah,
going to say
go
that
on.
hopefully the exercise today shows that the actual process is super simple. Now, I tried to go into a little bit of information or a little bit of rationale behind some of the actions just because I thought they were interesting, but that's really where the work is. It's actually to go through them and see which you feel that you can commit to as organizations in a 1 year time frame, really. So that's really where the work is. But the actual signing of it is super simple.
Thanks so much, Daniel. Morgan
has a question.
So once an organization or an institution becomes a signatory and they've made like their commitments to however many of the like standards, is it possible for them to go back and commit to more as they develop their climate action plan over the course of like the next few years?
Yes. So right now you can go back and you say, and you can review your own ones. What I'm pushing for within the CANIE Accord accelerator team, we call it, is basically that there's a set process where on year 1, whether you've done it or not, you'll get an email saying, hey, Morgan, this is great. It's been 1 year. Here are the commitments again. First of all, please give us a little report on what you did for those commitments that you selected. And secondly, what's your New Year's goals? What are your new goals? So what are you now committing? And it may be very similar because for whatever reason, you've done X, but you still feel you're on the same basic level. Or maybe they're not. Maybe you've got others. But this is more process that we want to make sure that it's robust and that it's happening. Right now, it's voluntary. Like I've submitted one recently, but there's no process where someone will contact you to do it.
I think for anyone watching the recording or in the room right now, for my experience with this coming in kind of cold, doing the work in country and having different projects going on, the Accord provides a really good framework from which to build a climate action plan. Because you can imagine as you work through these different categories and commitments, you're kind of going, okay, do we do this? Yes. What do we do? or is that a goal that we think is realistic? And you know, it can really provide, it's a really nice framework for creating a climate action plan. And then you can then flesh out the different commitments within your own plan. So for me, I found that to be very beneficial. Other questions for Daniel about anything CANIE related or signatory related? Great moment for the GYA just to actually sign that. You know, there'll be some follow-up and we'll put it out on our socials and everything, I'm sure, in the coming days as we get emails from CANIE and a profile and everything set up. But very happy. Thank you so much, Daniel.
No, I thought there was another question. I thought someone put a hand up. I've just lost the videos, but I thought someone...
Oh yeah, Elin.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. My question is around our program being, we're residing here in the US and most of our participants are right here in the US. So a lot of the questions throughout what we just looked at have a lot to do with the global travel and global education. Is there any advice you would give to people who have domestic programs and filling those things out where we can't really set those as goals because we're not traveling outside of our country?
Yeah, no, and you're right. And you know, CANIE stands for, you know, Climate Action Network in International Education. So it is kind of like, that's the focus. However, there is a huge kind of, you know, number of people who do kind of domestic within, you know, within kind of gap year realm or higher education. So I think it is still relevant. And I would like to, for me, the more organizations that work in domestic, the more CANIE will realize that needs to, I don't know if the name, but needs to also kind of serve to that community. So yes, there will be sections that you won't be able to, but all the organizational ones, you know, your climate action plan, your staff traveling as well. Even if it's local travel, it could be done in a more sustainable manner potentially, or at least, but also kind of having a baseline data of emissions, your office, home office, all that. So I think there's still a lot of commitments that you will be able to select if those are of interest.
And Elin, as we look through the signatories, you know, some of them, the universities are serving their domestic population, like University of Auckland, University of Canterbury. So now, of course, they have study abroad programs within them, but I think there's probably still an awful lot of good that would come of becoming a signatory and really, like I said, using that process as a framework for your action plan and where you can, and also highlighting the great stuff that you're already doing by virtue of not flying all over the place.
Correct. Now, you know what? It's something I'm going to bring up in the next meeting because I think it's important. You know, how can you know, that sort of those institutions that work on you know, it's kind of in the experiential learning realm, but domestically, I think it's a very good point. So yeah,
Daniel,
I think Drew had it. Sorry, and Drew also had a hand up. I think, I don't know if you put it by.
Go ahead, Drew.
But no, I don't. I think say no. So please, whoever.
Well, I just had a quick question about the events and the networking opportunities within CANIE. I'm looking at the list of past events on CANIE's website and seeing that there are specific events for different chapters within the network. And I'm just wondering if you have any guidance or advice around where GYA would fall. Would we fall within a specific chapter? Are there follow-up steps that we can take to continue to connect with other signatories once we are officially approved, things like that?
Yeah, so definitely, I mean, the obvious one is the US because, you know, as an institution is a US-based institution. Now, obviously, the members are from all over the place, but definitely I would say the US chapter. The one that is kind of like is a global event is the Climate Action Week, which I think is in March, and it's basically a week-long series of talks, sessions that everyone can participate. I think it should be there somewhere along. Yeah. Climate Action Week 2022 it was in November, but the next one is in March. I'm pretty sure about it. There you go, April. There you go, April. No, it's 2024. It's definitely March because it was actually, you know, we were talking about the Forum on Education Abroad conference kind of been similar dates. But I would say definitely CANIE US, America for sure, and then individual members. I would recommend you to the chapter. Now, the Europe chapter is super active. It's one of the most active chapters. So there's a lot of events happening all the time, and there's every month there's like someone who's invited and talks about their experience, talks maybe about a best practice or an issue that they are experiencing as something to share with everyone. And there's a lot of kind of networking happening. But the US is super active in networking events. So I would say the US for sure. And then for someone like Ryan, for example, obviously Europe, which Ireland has a huge component within the CANIE group. So I don't know why there's Irish people all over the place.
Daniel, is there someone from the Americas chapter that you can put us in touch with, maybe directly? Just share an email, and then myself, Mel, and Kerry can maybe just get the conversation going with them.
For sure. So I can put you in touch with the current president. I'll put you in touch for sure.
Excellent, great.
There was a comment. There was a comment from there. You can discuss the possibility of adding another E for experiential. I like that. Domestic.
Yeah,
I like that. I like the E for experiential.
As we come to the top of the hour and we're gonna wrap soon, is there other questions or anything that anybody else wants to touch on or ask Daniel or discuss, or anything on anyone's mind? We've covered a lot today. Yeah, I know Daniel is he's a brilliant resource for this, and anybody who is thinking to becoming a CANIE signatory, we're not going anywhere. We're here. You can reach out to either of us at any time, and we can help with the process. If it still feels a little bit like, oh, I'm not sure about this or that, you know where to find us. So don't be strangers as you take this on, because we're in your corner. And hopefully this has been, informative. I'm super excited from a GYA perspective that we have this done now. It's cool. So yeah, very big thanks to you, Daniel, for all the help with CANIE and demystifying it all for us for the last 6 months and getting us to move the dial on all this.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that, again, that I keep getting this question asked, especially when I present, not about CANIE, but I do a lot of obviously work on sustainability, but also on climate action. It's like, oh, but is that going to make us stop what we do? And I think one of the real, as you saw through the commitments, is to make what we do sustainable and to be able to continue doing, because we believe in the power and the net positive of what we do, but actually to be aware of our actions and our consequences, and just to work through them. And so it's actually working for experiential and international education rather than against them to stop us going forward in our activities.
And I think that's a really nice bow to tie around it, because it is ending with a message of hope. And the message for us as organizations is that there are things we can do. There's a network of people out there in our industry that are taking action, and we can continue to do what we do that's valuable to society, and do it in such a way that aligns with our core values. Yep. So I think that's an awesome place to leave it. And thank you so much, everyone.
There's a question from Morgan. Ryan, there's a question.
Sorry, Morgan. No.
Is open to everyone. Climate Action Week is open to everyone. And in fact, in the last 4 Climate Action Weeks, there's been a session about how to become a signatory. So obviously open to everyone. So yeah, it's open to everyone. And we will get an email or a newsletter with all the information as new signatures. So we will get it, but I will forward it anyway once I got the plan, all the events happening for that week.
Daniel, do you mind when I send the sustainability committee emails, you're on that thread. So if Morgan, if you want to reach out to Daniel directly and you're happy to share your email, Daniel, you can liaise with me and I'll just put the two of you in touch. Or else you can find them on that email thread.
No, for sure. I will put the email here right now before we close up. But yeah, of course, anything, please reach out directly with any questions, by all means.
And the same for myself. Daniel is for sure the expert on CANIE, but anything I could do to help as well. Oh, sorry, I direct message that to Aaliyah. Sorry, I'll put it in for everybody else there.
I think Aaliyah knows your email already.
She does. All right. Excellent, everyone. Well, I hope everyone has a great day, and thanks so much for joining. And we will see you next month, hopefully, for our next Sustainability Committee meeting on the first Thursday of the month. That is our, you can put that in your head and in your calendar, first Thursday of the month. All right.
Thanks so much.
Cool.
Thanks, guys,
Thank
for doing
you.
that.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye.